Yes, lads, what is going on? And welcome to the season 2, episode 18 of the Little Running Irishman podcast. Back with the guests, you guys. We have Sean Tobin, aka the Irish Hammer, and what he goes by over on Instagram, on the podcast today. 1500 metre silver medalist in the All Ireland Championships this year, and also All Ireland champion over the 10k. A 7:45 3k. He has a 7:45 3k, and also a as of this year a Dimond League pacer. So it is, and it was a privilege to have Sean on the podcast, and I hope you guys really do enjoy this episode because it was a really interesting one. I do appreciate Sean coming on, and obviously we've been going through a bit of a dry patch lately when it comes to the guests, but we're hopefully coming out of that now. It's been quite quiet times with everything that's been going on in the world, and people are kind of just doing their own thing. Not too much has been going on, not many people doing anything really spectacular at the moment because, obviously Sean has done a lot of amazing things lately, but in general, people have been pretty quiet with everything that's been going on in the world lately. So yeah, during these uncertain times, it is pretty difficult to get guests on, but I'm really happy to be back with this banger with Sean Tobin on the podcast. Two quick things before we get into this episode. As you can see, if you're watching, I am wearing a Go Be More hat. You can see it here on my head. I am really happy about this. John Rankin, who I had on the podcast, sent me out this, John from Go Be More. And obviously Brennan Foodie, who's also helps out in the business as well, sent me out this hat, and also, if I can get it here, this tank top singlet kind of thing, that has Go Be More on the side of it. No, thanks John and Brennan and everyone at Go Be More for sending me out the hat, and obviously the tank top. I really do appreciate it. A lot to come more with me, John, Brennan and Go Be More. John will be on the podcast very soon. Head over to my Instagram or just look up Go Be More Instagram, John Rankin, or John Rankin to find out more about Go Be More and the website, obviously, or go to www.gobemore.com, and you'll be able to buy their amazing run apparel. Let me just get this up for you again. It is pretty cool. Just have that there, get it in frame. Sorry for anyone that's listening to the podcast, you won't really be able to see this. And obviously the hat, I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Go Be More, for sending me this out, and I've officially become the Youth Irish Ambassador for Go Be More now, that I'm going to be modelling all this stuff on the podcast, and obviously here I'm modelling it now, and over on my Instagram. So head over to the Little Running Irishman official Instagram to find out more about that. A quick thing about this episode: my camera at the start, it's kind of flickering and then it just shuts off completely. I'm kind of having not trouble with the webcam. I don't actually know what's been happening with it. It is definitely the webcam, because when I tried plug the webcam into my laptop when I didn't have the computer, it was doing the same thing where the recording would just stop because the webcam would kind of disconnect. So I'm not too sure what's happening there. It's happening on the computer as well, and yeah, so I'll try to get everything sorted out there. That's why my webcam wasn't on in this episode. Obviously, if you're listening to it, it doesn't make any difference, and everyone wanted to just be seeing Sean and hearing what he had to say. But yeah, thanks very much, Sean, for coming on for this pretty amazing episode of the podcast and getting me out of a pretty dry patch, you could say. And obviously, once again, thanks to Go Be More for sending me out this hat and this tank top. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, turn the notification bell on, like, or if you listen to the podcast, head over to the Little Running Irishman official Instagram and give me a follow over there. Hope you all guys enjoy. Alright, so I'm joined here with Sean Tobin, aka the Irish Hammer, over on the Instagram. Before we jump in, Sean, can you just give us a bit of a background on the name? Is it the Iron Hammer or the Irish Hammer over on Instagram?
The Irish Hammer. Yeah, so pretty much the nickname just came from while I was in college. It was kind of just something, obviously I was known for just kind of getting out hard in races and always kind of just hammering and kind of never really giving up. So
yeah,
at points just like kicking way in races. So kind of just picked up from there, and the guys were joking about setting it as my Instagram um, name, and I did, and it just has kind of stuck and has kind of kept that meaning throughout now, and it just catches on. So it's stuck now, really. So
Yeah, that's no, that's fair enough. Anyway, when I looked at it, I wasn't too sure, but no, it's good to get a bit of clarity now. And Sean, I don't want to give a bit too much of a background on you because I don't feel like I'll do it justice enough. So if you want to give maybe a brief background about yourself and how you got into running, and yeah, just a bit of a background about yourself.
yeah, so I'm from Clonmel. Kind of been like most Irish kids, just always involved in every kind of sport. I kind of started. I got into running when I was pretty young. I was 9 years of age when I started. It was through like trials at our primary school to make the team for a local cross country meet, and so pretty much done those trials. Was like second in the trial. Then one of the guys asked me to join the club, and I kind of just took off from there, and was pretty much in the sport then for years. You know, you always think I was always kind of more there for cross country, not so much for the track. So it was like just always there for the team and enjoying that as I went. And it wasn't really until I was about 16 that I kind of started taking things a little bit more serious, and then it kind of just took off from there. You know, I got my taste of kind of international competition and getting away. You know, when I was younger, we never really went away abroad for family holidays and stuff, and kind of stayed in Ireland. So once I kind of got that taste of going abroad, and that running could kind of give me a chance to get away, it kind of just got me really invested in it, and I wanted to improve and keep making teams. So, and then from there, it's kind of just led me to here.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. A lot of people have different things for wanting to make an Irish team or get to a professional stage. Personally, obviously, representing your country at any level is a great achievement. But the gear is what really drives me to maybe getting the Irish Fest. I think it's just really nice, and I think it's just really cool to have. And no, that's really cool that you were. So you said you were motivated by getting the chance to go abroad and represent your country in all different countries.
Yeah, so that was always big motivation. It was the idea, like especially through the winter, you're always kind of working hard, knowing that like okay, I can make a team and get a trip away. And I
Yeah.
got my first experience on the Olympic Council took a good group of us out to Romania on a training camp in 2011, which I would have been in third year in school, so
Yeah.
about 15. And that was my first experience of kind of being away, and I thought that was brilliant that we could go away, and it's easier to meet people as well. You're traveling with people who've similar mindsets, and when we went with the Olympic Council, we were kind of in Romania in their training camp that they had built for the Sydney Olympics. So it was kind of cool. We're out in the middle of nowhere, but it was just that feeling of going, wow, like, oh, they're taking us away and we don't have to
Yeah.
pay. And then later, then when I got into transition year, that's when kind of the idea of going to America came up for university, and that was another one that really just sparked me and motivated me to make it out there and be successful out there.
Yeah, yeah. And did you end up going over to America in the end? And what was that experience like?
Yeah, so I went to University of Mississippi, also known as Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So I was out there. I absolutely loved it. Just brilliant place. Had fantastic team, good coach, great facilities, and just the Mississippi weather as well. Everything about it, the Southern culture, I loved it all. Obviously, it had its up and downs while I was
Yeah.
there. That comes with everything, but it was a huge kind of learning process for me, and I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. Just loved everything about it, and you often, now that I'm finished with it, you're often kind of going, I wish I could go back and restart it all
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Know what I know now, but for any athlete, I would highly recommend it if they get the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And can you see the standards different from over there than you can over here? Maybe a little bit better over there, a bit better over here. Could you say that helped you to get to where you are today from an Irish point of view?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think the best thing about the university system in the States, it just keeps athletes in the sport for another 4 years.
Yeah.
It's like a business deal. That's pretty much the way my coach from home put it before I went out. It's like they're paying for my school, they're paying for everything. So it's my job to go out there and deliver and work hard. So that's the way we looked at it. And I think even my sister also went out to the States as well, and she's not someone who wanted to be a professional athlete, but like for her, it was another opportunity to stay in the sport for 4 years and keep training and studying and getting the most out of it. So I think everyone can go out with different ways of trying to make the most of it, and different. I like now my sister's working in the States, so and myself, I use it to kind of just continue on my running career. So there's plenty of paths people can go down and learn from it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And from an athletics point of view, what I know is it is huge out there, and it's definitely a lot bigger than it is here. So I'd say it was really a good learning curve and experience running wise to be able to get that opportunity. And just track back in a little bit before we get into the big, more recent stuff. When you said you started running at a very young age, were you always, did you always have that edge in races, or did you maybe have a bit of a few dry patches, you could say, over the course of your career up to the age of about 16 when you start taking it really serious, or were you always, up the top, leading races, leading training?
Yeah, no, I was always there in competition, like roughly, within the All Irelands. Like it at a young age, I think it's always a huge achievement to make the top 12 at an All Irelands, and that was always kind of the goal, get into those medals. And I was always there, kind of making the top 12 and just about there. And I think, and then had like even just I think under 14, under 15 weren't great years for me. And I think it was kind of after that it started kicking on a little bit. But I think what really kept me in it all the time was that I had a team from Clonmel, and the idea of just going away in the weekends on a bus and going to competition and traveling and with that group. And we were always trying to be the best, team that. And I think anytime you did win something as a team, it was fantastic and you loved it. And I tried everything, I think that's every kid should do it.
Yeah.
When you're age, just like we'd go to a county championships and you'd compete nearly in every single event, and you just come away with it enjoying it. So I think that was really there. And then you just enjoy everything about it. It was a way to see the country as well, when you like places the sport takes you that you wouldn't really ever think of going. So just everything about it I enjoyed going through. But there's points then, obviously, I was playing a bit of GA and soccer, and they took a bit of time, but it always kind of came back to athletics.
Yeah, definitely. And with a sport, with athletics, and I always say this, and loads of people always say, you have to be really, really consistent if you want to get to level you're at, or maybe a level even higher. And obviously, I know as well from experience, picking between Gaelic football and running, for me personally, wasn't too much of a decision, because I actually joined running pretty late at like 12 when I was in first year. But I came to love it. But was that decision for you kind of tough to dedicate everything to running, or did you fall in love with it and was it an easy decision?
Yeah, I think like I was still playing in GA up till I think I was about 14, 15, and it was kind of around. Oh, it was at the youth championships to make the European youths. I remember kind of sitting down with my coach, and he was just like, okay, if you really want to make this, you got to work hard and put more focus into it. And I kind of did, and that's where I kind of went, and I kind of just started losing a bit of interest in the GA and kind of got more into the running. And as well, obviously, you're starting to increase your training, so you're a bit more tired, and pretty much you're running most days, and you don't really have the time then for the GA. So once I got more focused into it, I just really enjoyed it and just sucked into it more and more.
Yeah, definitely, and it definitely got you to, as of right now, a pretty good patch in your career, you could say. Obviously, with everything that's going on, it's kind of unpredictable when your next race would be. But from most recent races, obviously, I have written down here the 5,000 and the 10,000 meter Irish Championships, and I just really quickly wanted to jump into the 5,000 meters. Obviously, it came to a diving finish, you could say, with you against Paul. So, could you just give us maybe a bit of a breakdown of that race?
Yeah, so the 1500, it was actually, so the 1500 with Paul was, obviously we were going into that with Coscoran in mind, and obviously we knew Coscoran was going to be the dangerous one. Originally, I decided to do the 1500 just because the schedule, like our main focus was to run the 10K, and then after the 10K, I'll decide if I want to do 1500 or not. So preferably I would have done the 5 and 10, but the original schedule didn't work out like that. So we put more entries in for the 15 and the 10, and then eventually they changed the schedule, which still worked out for the better, that 15 was on one weekend and the 10 was on the other. But the main reason just kind of went into the 15 once I was starting that pretty much fresh. So that was the first one to go at. And I knew kind of going into it, Paul, I didn't really know where Paul was fitness-wise, because like I kind of knew he was training well, but I hadn't seen him race. And obviously we were out in January to March, we were out in Australia training together. And Paul was just come back from injury, so he was kind of seeing what it was like to train with him there. But obviously we knew, Paul and I knew Coscoran was the one to watch. So I kind of broke it down every single way I could of how to try beat these guys. And it didn't really, I hadn't decided on anything until even about kind of a minute or so before the race. So it's like, because the conditions were tough, it was windy, so I kind of had to break it down and just go, do I go for it or not? And eventually just came to the decision to go for it.
Yeah.
And even still, like, I got into it, and even the first 200 meters, I was like, oh no, what am I doing? What have I done? Like, I hit the wind, and it was really strong. I was like, oh, I've messed this up already. But I made the decision, so I was like, I have to stay with it. And even at that, then I got into about 700 meters into the race, and I was kind of like, geez, I can't believe the lads are just giving this to me. And then it really wasn't until like 350 meters to go, I could hear Paul's footsteps just coming after me. You know, it was so quiet in the stadium. It's just like you would never really get that experience of just hearing steps coming and the silence. So it's like, even for me, I kind of made that mistake then to try push harder when I probably should have relaxed and let him come back to me and try save something to kick on again. But kept pushing and pushing, and then what I feel when he came up into me, and I was like, just kept trying to push the pace. And even with 80 meters to go, then I was like, I knew it was going to be a battle from there. And I was like, Paul came by me, and I was like, oh no, he's got me. And eventually I could just feel his legs starting to go from underneath him. And then I was pushing back on him and coming up to him. And then my legs, I could feel like just were going beneath me as well. And you could both tell we were just loaded with lactic and just tying up. So I pretty much got the whole way to the line together, shoulder to shoulder. And like for a split second as well, I had in my mind to dive, and I didn't. So and then Paul did, and eventually got the so. But it was a fantastic race, and I think it's like Paul said it afterwards, is really like, it didn't matter really who won at the end of the day. We kind of create something fantastic for the sport and got a lot of traction, and it was just the beauty of racing. You know, that's what we did, train for, and got that. I've never had a race like that where I've come across the line and just sat there and go, I've no idea who won. You know, and I was kind of asking that, who won? And I was like, Paul was like, it doesn't matter, man. That was brilliant. And I think he was right. You know, after, it was just like, when you look back at it, it's just exciting. So I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and even a second in an All Ireland from even a second, even like the margins that you came second by, a second from placing second, even with a 5 second margin, is still a great achievement. But you definitely did make, you made a really good performance out of it, and a very entertaining performance out of it, you could say. And were you expecting Paul there to dive at the end? I know you said there that you were thinking about it, but did you think Paul maybe had that in his locker, or was going to pull something like that out the bag? Or
No, I had no idea. Like you just, it was just spur of the moment. I'm sure as well. Like it's crazy how fast your mind is thinking.
yeah,
Where like in the even that last 50 meters, like it's nearly like everything is just slow mo, and your mind is thinking extremely fast and trying to make decisions in a split second. So obviously, like I said, I thought of it as well, and I didn't take the action, and Paul clearly thought of it as well, and he did take the action.
yeah,
So he was rewarded for it, because I think for a split second as well, I thought jump, and then I was like, oh, like just thought the track would scrape me up,
yeah, yeah.
which it did for Paul. Like Paul was pretty torn up for a few days after the race and had to take it easy. Obviously, I kind of still had in mind that I had a 10K to race as
Oh
well.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, yeah, it was just you just don't, you can't. It's very hard to think of something like Paul said. If we had tried to plan that going into that race and said, "Oh, we're going to try and make this a great race and dramatic," and I don't think you could even plan it. It just
no, yeah, definitely. And no, it was definitely a great performance, and getting that second obviously is an amazing achievement. But would you say it was maybe a little bit bittersweet? Obviously, you said the lads kind of gave you the first 1,100 meters, and then coming into the final lap, you heard Paul coming up behind you. But still, do you think maybe it's a little bit bittersweet, kind of, and the fine margins that there was at the end of the race, or do you think maybe that allowed you then to, or maybe encouraged you to go out and win the 10K? So what were your thoughts after finishing second?
yeah. I think obviously when they called Paul's name and just said he won it, or his number, that was initially that was a little disappointing, but after that, I kind of got over it. So
Yeah,
it's like simple, like okay, it's great. Like it was great to see Paul back. I know he's been through for years with injury, and I think I think it makes for a greater story, and it's more important. I think that he won it for people to learn, like to stay in the sport. Um, and like for me, it was coming into form, and it was like I don't think it would have made it much a better story if
yeah,
I'd won it. But the main thing I was just disappointed was I wanted like bring it home, bring the title home to Clonmel. We've only had one national title before, and that was my one in the 1500 2 years previous, or 3 years previous.
yeah.
So nice to bring another one back, and that's what kind of kept me going for the 10K. I wanted to at least bring the title home. So
And you could definitely say, man, moving on more into the 10K, you could definitely say it was probably a harder race physically, but intensity wise for people watching in the stadium and watching at home, it wasn't to the same caliber, could you say? So do you want to talk maybe through that race a little bit?
yeah, I think it was going to be hard to replicate anything like that
Yeah,
1500
definitely.
afterwards. So, and the 10K for me was just, I was like, was getting so many messages and so much from the race blowing up. It was just mentally a bit draining.
Yeah,
Your emotions are all over the place after it, and you kind of have that for a couple of days, and that can be draining as well. So when I went into the 10K, it was just more of like, okay, let's get in here and get the job done. So we kind of went in with a plan just to wait till 2K to go or 5 laps to go, and then just push on the pace and try wind it down. So it's a lot. It was my first 10K in the track as well, so it was kind of just, well, I didn't really know what to expect, and I
yeah,
ran 10K cross country and a 10K once on the road, so I think they're a little easier in terms of, obviously you've got a bigger loop, or it's just easy mentally compared to 25 laps on the track, and a little easier on the body. So I was kind of just trying to keep as comfortable as possible for as long as I could, so I could kind of be strong over that last 2K.
Yeah. No, it was I'd say it was definitely a nice feeling winning that after the week before being pretty hectic, and obviously you said there it was mentally draining. With all the reaction basically you got from the 1500 the week before or even a day or two after, would you say obviously you came away with the win in the 10k, but could you say that maybe impacted in your performance a bit? And we'll obviously talk about other things that could have impacted both performances, but could you say that in particular, for an example, impacted your performance, or you kind of blocked it out and just focused on the race?
Yeah, I think so. Good. Like I think I don't know if I'll get a 1500 ever like that again.
Yeah.
So and that kind of reaction from a race. So yeah, it's hard to tell. I think it was a big effort as well. To go out and try to do it solo as well, and we done it kind of the hard way. So that takes away from the body as well. And my body was a little beat up. Like going into the 10k, I just was having a bit of a glute issue all week. So. And then in the race, I could just feel it as I was going to the race that it was so tight. It was kind of catching, I think it was catching a nerve, and just down my foot, I could feel my foot just kind of started getting pins and needles as I went through the race. And eventually my left foot just all went, I couldn't feel my foot anymore. So it just went numb. And then next thing my left leg went numb. So that was kind of stressing as well in that 10K. I'd never experienced anything like that, so so your mind is kind of all over the place as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, the whole time I had that kind of plan in my head, and you still kind of got to get out there and win it. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. And on the topic basically of things that impacted the race, obviously with everything that was going on in the world at the moment, and obviously right now, was training any different? Did anything have to be changed up that maybe could have impacted the race in a positive or negative way, or did nothing really change and the outcomes would have been the same?
Well, I had planned to race Hamburg Marathon back in April, so from a training perspective, I went through my first kind of marathon training block and got that experience. So it was interesting going back down onto the track after that, and it's just like really you couldn't plan much with races. It was just like if there was a race, you went out and got it and raced. Yeah. So it's not like we were all fully set, on going in and being fully prepared for these races. So, but I think our training philosophy kind of has you ready to kind of race any distance.
Yeah.
So I don't think much changed for me. It's just, and I was kind of looking forward to a 10K because coming off the marathon stuff as well as probably pretty strong. So I kind of looked forward to that. The 15 was, I didn't really know what to expect in the 15. We hadn't done a huge amount of track work, but just a little bit. So, nothing. But in general, not a whole lot changed.
That's fair enough, and I feel like a lot of people were in your situation. I know I was to a certain extent as well when it comes to trying to get races wherever you can, because all of that, you don't want all that pretty much summer training to be going to waste. So you want to race and see where your fitness is at any chance you get. And would you say that played into a factor of your pacing in the 3K in the Dimond League?
Yeah, that was obviously that was the first experience of kind of a major pacing role. So I think at that point Nick Beddoes got me the pacing gig. So he was just pretty much like, oh, it'd be good for some exposure after nationals, and obviously he took the risk of putting me in, and I wanted to get a job done. So I think a lot of people were kind of questioning would I be able for it or not. But before the race, I was honestly probably more nervous for that pacing job than any race I've run. I was bricking it going in, and so it's like I did obviously I knew it was just knowing that it's not like just going in or racing and that anything can happen. Like you have a job to do and you have to do it the right way in terms of just being even as possible, and even just getting to there. And I was more worried about, I didn't want to just be tying up or stressing in the race and making it uncomfortable for the other guys. So so once that opportunity came up, I just took it. It was the Dimond League as well, so just get in and get that experience of being in the Dimond League and the feel of it. And it was great. Obviously after the race, it was brilliant that I'd done my job, and then I got to stand there and watch a fantastic race between the three guys at the front. Watching three guys under 7:30 is something you don't see every day. So.
No, definitely. And as you said there, it's not a case where if you don't really perform well, you can go back to training, work on the basics, and come back again. And obviously you've done an amazing job. You led to many national records, but that's probably the main reason. Would you say what led to most of the nerves before well, obviously it was your first pacing job, as you said, but the fact that a lot of the athletes in that race were relying on you played into a huge factor into the nerves before the race.
Yeah, I think that you just said, you've just got a lot playing through your head, and I've had as well the idea, kind of knowing that people were kind of asking, do you think you can do it? Because basically, I've my PB for the mile is 3:57, and then you have to go out and run a 4 flat mile. Pretty much what we'd done for a race earlier in the year, but obviously when I went out, conditions were great. It was a bit hot now, it was like 28 degrees, but I didn't mind that. I spent a lot of time in the heat in Mississippi, so kind of prepared for that, and I enjoyed the heat as well. But it was nerve-wracking, like I was saying. So and it's everything about it is just a whole experience, and you don't get that feeling, it's not like racing. So and again, I wanted to be able to come back and get another opportunity like that. I was hoping that I can get a few pacing jobs, and eventually one day that there'll be a chance that there's an open lane or there's a free spot in the race and I can get into it. So
yeah, no, definitely. You did do a pretty amazing job in that race. It came down to quite a tight finish between Jakob and Jacob there. And what was it like being surrounded? Obviously, you're a top athlete yourself, but on such a big world stage, what was it like being surrounded by athletes like of that caliber?
Yeah, it's great. It's kind of where you want to be, and it's nice to see it, to be part of it and kind of just watch other guys and how they just kind of hold themselves together and what they do, throughout the day. And I've spent a good bit of time with the Melbourne Track Club guys as well, so I've seen what it's like. I know how kind of guys like Stuart McSwain operates as well. So it was exciting to go in and see that, and you just even get a guy like Jakob Ingebrigtsen, and you can tell just by being around him the confidence in himself, and he's just you could tell going into that he's very relaxed, he's confident, he's no worries. Obviously he's probably nervous inside, but he doesn't really show that, and it's just nice to be in part of that environment and go. Everyone dreams kind of being there, and that's where you want to be. So it's kind of what you work for. So just kind of seeing these guys operate and just even seeing how relaxing they are in that environment is great to see.
Yeah, no, it is. And once again, you did do a pretty amazing job, and it ended up being a really close and a pretty amazing finish at the end of that race. So that was always good to see. And you were talking about in that race with a few lads, 3 lads actually going under 7 minutes 30 seconds. But recently you set a new 3K PB for yourself of 7 minutes 45 seconds and 46 seconds. So how would it feel setting what I'm pretty sure it was an 11-second PB?
Yeah, so it was great. I think it was a long time coming. I've been training really well the last year or so, and like things were just there were so many just races that the results weren't there, the times weren't coming, and I was just like, what is happening? And eventually it was just it came. I was just I thought it'd never really come, and in terms of just getting the times down, and especially when I was out training in Australia, had guys like Nick Bideau kind of just been like what is happening? Like you're training like 13:10 guy, and like what's going on? And then I was going out and racing, and the kind of wasn't there. So finally things just kind of clicked, and I
Yeah.
think his racing job in Rome kind of added a lot of confidence. And it's one thing Nick kind of said to me after the race was like, okay, now you can see you're believing in yourself. And even that race, like I was a lot more confident going in and believing that I could do it. And I think knowing that I just kind of more opportunities are opening up. I think that's the most difficult thing with being in Ireland, that obviously we don't really get the really high standard races and the opportunity to run fast. You can turn up in Ireland and have a great field ready to go, but suddenly the weather could be awful. So luckily in Barcelona we turned up. It was a great field. There was a lot of young guys, a lot of European under-23 medalists, up and coming guys. So it was just it was nice to be able to just get out there and race and get in the mix. And
Yeah.
then even throughout the race, I was probably still a little cautious. I'd never been run at that pace before, so I was kind of just thinking about blowing up really at the end, but it kind of never came. And even with 300 meters to go, I was like, oh, I probably should have kicked on, but I kind of waited till 100 to go. But at the end of the day, it's given me huge confidence now that I can keep going on, and especially for the 5K now, it's I want to be able to step up and take a huge chunk off my PB.
Yeah, no, definitely it is a pretty amazing PB, and you're talking about there, Ireland not really being a lot of top athletes in Ireland not being able to get the biggest opportunities, but that time, if I'm not mistaken, would have gotten you a place in the 3K that you placed. So that must be a pretty big confidence boost as well, to know that maybe you're not getting the opportunities right now, but you are at that level where in the future it's a major possibility.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's just that run itself is going to open up more opportunities for me. It'll get me into more races. So I'm looking forward to that going on to next year, as hopefully if we have more races opening up, and even in the 1500 as well. I think there's a lot more room for improvement there, and the 5K. But and then obviously you have the decision as well with the marathon as well. Ideally, I'd prefer to race a marathon right now, but it's just nice. Things are finally clicking and things are happening. So it's like it kind of gives me that bit more motivation now to just kind of kick on next year and kind of get back to work over the winter and kind of soak it up, knowing that I can get more opportunities and good things will happen.
Yeah, and you mentioned the marathon there. Would you say you're in pretty good marathon shape at the moment, and what time maybe would you be able to clock?
Yeah, not at the moment. I've been kind of racing a lot the last few months, and the mileage has been pretty low. So so right now I'm just going to take a week break, and then we're going to rebuild. So really to be ready for a marathon, you kind of want a 12 to kind of 15-week block of a proper marathon work. So I was ready to go in for the marathon in Hamburg in April, but not at the moment. I haven't put the work behind me the last 2 months or so. So
yeah, no. So hopefully we'll be seeing you out on the roads very soon, setting some really, really high standard PBs. Just before I let you go, just two quick things. So at the moment, obviously still with everything going on, are you looking to maybe do a few cross country races, and has training changed for you at the moment with basically with everything going on at the moment, or is everything pretty much the same as it would be in a normal cross country season?
yeah, no, like I've been so like I just pretty much finished up my season, so I was pacing in the Netherlands just over the weekend, and then the previous week was in Kenya, so for a race. So it was kind of season was dragging on a bit, and throughout that we were kind of just jogging and doing the odd kind of short session just to kind of maintain the work and the fitness. But I've never had a track season go the whole way into October. So at the moment, I'm just happy to take a break, take a week off, and I don't really feel rushed to kind of get into the cross country. I don't know if nationals will happen or not. But like at this point last year, I was coming off an injury, which I was out for 4 months. So I was kind of looking back on it, and I hadn't even properly started training this time last year. You know, I was not till October 17th I done my first session last year, which was a 15-minute threshold. So I don't feel that pressure to kind of run back, to rush back into things and try to get fit and get ready for nationals. Ideally, I'd prefer kind of just to miss nationals this year, but obviously if it does come, I'll show up in the line and race. But I just kind of want to get a good winter of work in now and get ready for what's to come really in the new year.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, 100%. That would be the right way to go, and that's even if nationals end up going ahead for all ages. Obviously, your standard and your race would be most likely to be more for persistent to go ahead and more the one that everyone wants to see. But even at my age and my level, it's still uncertain times for everyone when it comes to racing. But all you can do is train as if you were going to race, and if the races come ahead or come around even, you'll be in good shape and you'll be fit for any distance that's thrown at you. And really quick, last thing before I let you go is obviously at the moment you're taking a break, and you've had probably the longest and could I say maybe one of the best track seasons of your career so far?
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's been a lot of positives. Like things have started clicking, and I've had a few opportunities there, and it's all coming together. So I think that's going to kick on to next year. You know, I'm just happy to try stay healthy now at the moment. Like obviously at the end of this month now, it'll be a year consistent training without any injuries or sickness or anything like that. That's kind of the main focus, and just keep that development going of training. Like you said it yourself, it's like, we don't know if races are going to be there, but the main thing is you just keep training, you keep preparing for like races will eventually come, and just focus on my development. And obviously, hopefully, we'll be seeing Olympic Games next year. So that's where I want to be next year.
Yeah, you literally took the question right from my mouth. Basically, it was goals for the future. So 2021, we hopefully maybe seeing you in the Olympics, or would you maybe be going for Tokyo? What would it be, 2024?
Yeah, no, Olympics next year. That's been the main focus. So that's 100% all in for that. And we might see one or two competitions before that. I'm not sure what else is really there in major championships. There's a European indoors and a World indoors. Unfortunately, World Cross has been cancelled, so that's out of the question. So, and then at the moment for me as well, it's trying to find out what marathons are happening and where I can qualify. So there's still a lot of questions around that, but ideally, yeah, Tokyo is the goal, whether it be in a marathon or on the track. So that's another question that's there as well. So it's kind of just seeing what's available to us and getting after that. So, and then hopefully then next year after the Olympic Games, then we'll see a European cross. I don't know, will it be in Dublin or I think it's meant to be in Italy next year either, or one of those. So kind of just taking it step by step. That's all we can really do. It's kind of hard to think too far ahead.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hopefully the European Cross will keep its place in Dublin, so we can get to see you and a lot more big names race. And I wish you luck majorly for the future, and hopefully we can see you in Tokyo next year, or any races that you're racing in leading up to it. But obviously the main goal over the next year or so is the Olympics, and I wish you luck with that. But thanks Sean for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. It did make a really, really good episode. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Killian. Keep the good work up.
Yeah, no, thanks. So, yeah, as I said, thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully everybody listening and watching enjoyed it as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.